So Zoom people can hear us and see the agenda on the screen.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Kingsport Metropolitan Transportation Planning Organization meeting. Go ahead and get this meeting started with a roll call.
Okay, so our chairman, Morris Baker, is on his way to graduate with his doctorate degree. So he is not here. Chase is running the meeting. I do have a proxy for Morris. Michael Thompson is serving as his proxy. So with that, Vice Chair Chase Milner.
Here.
Blake Ayler.
Here.
Troy Everett.
Present.
Thomas Lawson.
Here.
And Michael Thompson for Kingsport.
Present.
And we do not have Sullivan County or Hawkins County Churchill Mount Carmel rep, but we do have a quorum.
With the quorum present, we'll go ahead and proceed to the next agenda item, which is the public comment. So those wishing to make a comment today pertaining to any of the agenda items or any other transportation planning issues, activities, and or projects that pertain to the Kingsport Metropolitan Transportation Planning Organization may do so at this time with a 5-minute limitation. Public comment period is open. Seeing that there is no public comments today, we'll go ahead and move on to the third agenda item, which is the approval of the February 12th minutes. We will need a vote on this. It's in the packet as agenda item number 3.
Motion.
Right.
You gotta turn your mic on.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Seconded motion by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have the ayes have it, unanimous. Oh, thank you. And now we are moving to the fiscal year 26 and 27 UPWP amendment. And I'll hand it back over to Leslie.
Yes, let's keep going. Okay. So as you all know, TDOT recognizes our UPWP on a 2-year cycle. So it's the 26-27 UPWP. Virginia requires we do it annually. So Virginia's fiscal year starts July 1. So this is just updating the fiscal year 27 budget and money for Virginia. Nothing else changed throughout the document. It was included with the agenda. Any changes were highlighted. The big thing is the financial table, which this is a summary of that. So this is fiscal year 27 for Virginia. The one we adopted last year was fiscal year 26. And as I said, no changes for Tennessee. It's 26 and 27 for Tennessee, fiscal year 27 for Virginia. Lenoisco and VDOT did have a chance to review this before it was sent out in the packet. Any questions?
You'll find the amendment 1 on the packet for the resolution. It's good to me. The vice chair make a motion to approve this amendment? Okay, go ahead. Make a motion that we approve the UPWP amendment as presented.
Like, you good with it?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have that approved. And let's go ahead and move on to the TIP amendment.
Okay, so in November, we adopted the 26 through 29 TIP Transportation Improvement Program. VDOT is on a different cycle. There's just 27 through 30. So we always have to do an amendment to our TIP when we first adopt it to add the Virginia projects in. And that's what this is doing. And as part of TIP amendments, we do have to certify that we are following the Metropolitan Transportation Planning process. So that's another, we have the resolution and the self-certification. And then with that, all the pages for the projects for the adding them to the fiscal year 26 through 29 tip, but it's the 27 through 30 projects for Virginia that we're adding. And I will say that right now we're still working technically out of the 23 through 26 tip until the TDOT STIP is adopted. So even though we've approved the 26 through 29, this is going forward because this is 27 through 30 projects. So it's an amendment to the new tip that we just adopted in November, but I'm technically still working out of the 23 through 26 because we have that overlap year. And just for cases like this where we have to wait for the STIP to be approved before our tip is official. So, and again, we got this from VDOT and it was reviewed, before putting it in the agenda.
All right, great. Thanks, Leslie. All right, on a review of that, do we have a motion to approve this tip amendment as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the tip amendment as presented.
Great. Thomas Lawson has made a motion to approve the tip amendment.
No comments from VDOT. Second.
Okay, seconded by Troy. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, super. All ayes have it. Motion passed. Thank you. And item number 6, we are on to the long range transportation plan. I believe Jim Meyer from AECom is on the line. We can see you. I bet we can hear you.
You got me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. I'm sharing my screen there. You guys able to see that as well?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is our second opportunity that I've had to speak with this committee. Last time we met, we adopted the goals and objectives for the LRTP, and today I wanted to provide a brief update on some public feedback that we've received. Also, preview the project scoring process that we're planning to use. Get some feedback from you on that. So, we do have a website, social pinpoint website that we're using for the project. And so back in February, we launched that site and then had a survey open until the beginning of April. And so we did get 122 surveys completed. It was a short, like 6-7 questions asking about existing conditions, challenges. And then on the right side of the screen there, we did have a map where people could drop markers on there to identify any issues or concerns. We did receive 326 markers. I will note that when we did the plan the last time for 2045, we actually had about 160 markers. So we doubled the number of responses that we had this time around. The other thing I'll note too is this is a self-select survey. It's not statistically valid. So anybody that wanted to take it could and provide feedback. But with that in mind, one of the first questions we asked was just overall satisfaction with the transportation system. And you can see here that really 10% said it was very good, 36% said it was good. So when you're combining those, we're almost up to 50% there. But I think on the right side, if you look at the very poor and poor, just comparing that to some other surveys that I've seen in some other areas, those numbers are actually pretty low compared to some others that I've seen. But we did ask for people to provide some detail on what the problems were. Potholes and roadway surface was the most common theme. A lot of comments about traffic congestion, bottlenecks, how that ties in with signal timing, just traffic operations in general, the need for turn lanes, those type of improvements. And then safety concerns, really across the board from drivers that are speeding, pedestrians and intersection crossings, bicyclists, those type of responses. We also asked people to identify factors that influence their transportation usage or might limit it. So people could pick multiple selections here, and again, on this slide or on this question we had about 260 responses. So again, some people may have picked two or three areas, but very consistent with what you saw in the last slide. But again, a little more detail here. That roadway sidewalk condition was mentioned 25% of the time. Again, traffic congestion. And so what you're also seeing here some comments about limited transit service. So we did see some feedback or receive feedback that hours of service, people would like to see it run earlier in the morning or later at night. One of the interesting things I thought that kind of stuck out here, very little feedback about freight or truck traffic issues. So, and that also came through in the markers that we'll see in a minute. We asked people, how well the transportation system is operating for them and just meeting their daily needs. And if you look at very well and somewhat well here, you're at 50%. So again, a small number over here, 8% say very poorly. Again, when you kind of break that down and look at some of the issues, some of it has to do with potentially like transit usage or hours of service or connectivity issues, those type of things. So, but generally, again, to get 50% on that left side is those are some pretty decent numbers compared to some other areas that I've seen. So again, I mentioned we had 326 markers dropped on the map. This is an overview of that. A little more than half of those were related to roadway comments, 37 walking comments. We had 33 on development and growth, and then down the line there we had a few on bicycle transit, and again, very small number on freight rail. And then just some general comments, which a lot of those other issues tend to kind of ultimately fall into some of these other categories. One thing I did want to do, and I mentioned earlier, we did this similar exercise for the 2045 plan, and this was a map from that plan. Again, some different symbols that were used last time around, but as you kind of look at this, a lot of the same areas kind of are popping up here. You do see a little bit more of comments around congestion, that type of thing. I'm seeing that on 36. And then one of the biggest areas coming through Stone Drive really tends to have a lot of comments as we take a look at it. We did create a KMZ file of this as well that is actually an interactive display of what you're seeing here, and you can go through and click on each one of these markers that was left. So we actually have comments on each one of these locations. And again, what you're seeing here on a lot of them, we hear about specifically with roadways, kind of bottlenecks, peak hour congestion, delays, those type of things. There are some specific comments, obviously, when you look at the interchange of 81 and 26, with some of the operational concerns that we've noted before, and but there are other issues highlighted. A lot of these, again, get very specific about needing turn lanes or traffic signals that or complaints about traffic signal timing, those type of things. We do have a number of 33 comments related to development and growth. So a lot of these kind of overlap. Again, some of them have to be or are concerned about the impact on traffic operations. There are a few out here on the eastern boundary of the metropolitan planning area that talk about the need to widen some of the roadways. due to growth and those type of similar comments that you see scattered throughout the area. Um, the walking and biking, so kind of again, some of these that you see along the downtown area, a lot of this has to do with desire to see the green belt continued or extended, improved bicycle connections. A lot of the transit connections, you see a few out here, have to do with a desire to have transit extend further out, provide more service. Some are also just general comments that we're again talking about hours of operation. And we did have a few comments up here in Virginia as well, talking about the need for enhanced bicycle connections. And then again, a lot of the other issues are very similar. They kind of fall into some of the other categories that I just shared here. But that is actually, before I go on to the next slide, any questions or comments or thoughts on the markers that you saw on the screen here? Okay.
Looking around the table, I don't see any.
Okay. Um, so one of the questions we asked, and this is kind of right in your face there, what's the most significant transportation issue in the area? And so again, it's very similar to the themes that you saw earlier and throughout. Really had to do with poor condition of roadways, making sure that we're kind of maintaining existing assets, so roads, bridges. Also, again, as I mentioned, traffic congestion. So turn lanes, you see turn there, lights were big comments about those. Safety, and so I think when you see the driver, the poor condition is probably related to pavement, but it's also there were some complaints about poor driving safety related to speeding, inattentive driving, those type of things, sidewalk conditions as well. So as I mentioned earlier, the last meeting, we adopted three goals and some objectives underneath there, and those are summarized here on this slide. What we did was we took the information, and this might be a little hard to read, but we'll share the slide deck afterwards if you're interested in looking at this a little closer. But what we did was we took a look at those comments that we had received on the last one about the most significant questions, or sorry, most significant transportation issues. And we summarized that on the left here, just going down, and then we indicated or put some representative comments that were included in the responses. But then we took that a step further to look at how that aligned with the 2050 LRTP goals. And so the three main goals across the top, and then the objectives, we kind of, when we're talking about traffic congestion, for example, how that impacts livability, balancing roadway capacity, mobility, land use, and also kind of support growth and redevelopment. And so we went down and kind of identified this connection, and really one of the main things that we want to do is obviously the public input and feedback that we get is an important part that we tie in with our technical analysis. And so we felt this was a good way to demonstrate or display the connection of how we're taking the public input and considering that with our goals and objectives, and ultimately how that feeds into our next step of the technical analysis, and also ultimately scoring or evaluating projects that could address some of these areas or concerns. I did want to mention a couple upcoming events here. One, the project website is has current information on there about the LRTP. There is a tab when you go to the website about share your input, and we are going to be having some team members out next Friday at the farmers market for the Public Works Day. So there will be a table there that will, if people want to stop by and provide input on the on transportation issues in the region, there will be a brief comment card that they can fill out if they're interested. They're looking at doing kind of a quick interactive sticker exercise that people can put stickers on a map or not on a map, but just a board to indicate issues and those type of things. And so they can also talk with the team members as well. So we're hoping this will be a good opportunity to get some good in-person feedback. Also coordinating with the MPO staff here to get some stakeholder meetings set up. These would be virtual meetings, so we're looking at 5 different groups where one would be talking with safety, so kind of law enforcement, emergency responders. Hopefully, they can provide some insight on some of the feedback that we heard from the public. Healthy communities group, a freight group, economic development, and one other group I'm forgetting right now. So, but we'll be meeting, doing those meetings virtually, getting some input, and again, that information will help with our technical analysis. So. That is a quick overview of the some of the public engagement where we're at right now. Any questions before I move on?
At your all's places at the table, and then also there's extra copies on the table where you signed in. I've got the flyer. This is one they're going to use at Public Works Day next Friday. It's just information about the long range planning process. And then on the back is a comment card or the QR code where you can scan and go straight to the website. If the website is not taking public input today, it will be in the next few days. Did they get that updated yet? Do you know?
Yes, it is active, Leslie. So if you go to the website and you go to the share your input tab, it reflects the comment card there with 2 questions, and then has a similar sticker type of exercise where people can allocate to their concerns.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was active. I didn't want to be sending people to the website and then be calling me saying, I can't give my input.
Nope, it went live about 30 minutes ago. So that page went live. So okay. Anything else on public outreach? All right.
I had one quick question for you, and this is just kind of hitting your some of your expertise on working on these plans. This went out, and what makes me ask this question is the word cloud that you put up there a little while ago. But
Yep.
This went out during peak pothole season, and
Yes.
potholes are on there a lot. Do you see that? Is that something normal you would see during that season? Because as of this point forward, we're moving into resurfacing and all the holes are filled. But
Yep.
you know, I don't know where I'm going with that exactly, but do you see that in other jurisdictions where you've done plans? Where you see that because of the springtime maintenance issues that we all have to deal with on a consistent basis?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. And I think we have to take all of that into consideration of, is this, the timing is definitely an issue. And there were some comments that people even talked about, the impact of winter having on the roads. And so I think, we need to take that into consideration as ultimately, we're trying to get as much input. We'll get a little more input at this event coming up here. And so, we'll be able to see if there's a similar trend or maybe there's focus on other areas, that type of thing. But to your point, I've had a couple other surveys recently that were coming out of winter and same type of thing. Focus potholes, and so yeah, that's definitely taken into consideration as we look at how that impacts the overall analysis. Okay. So wanted to provide an overview of our project scoring methodology. And so this is something that we spent quite a bit of time on when we did the 2045 plan. We wanted to come up with a way to take a look at the potential projects and potential projects. We develop those in a number of ways. There are other studies that have been done, and we'll pull those in. We are also wrapping up an existing conditions analysis. We'll be looking at the future conditions with our model. And so when we take a look at crash data or future congestion levels, those might identify an area where we could potentially consider another project that we would evaluate for the long range plan. And so what we did was we started with the 2045 LRTP projects. And so working with Leslie, went through and had those projects kind of reviewed. And so some of them were completed, we took them off of the list or cleaned up some of the projects, and there were maybe a few new projects that were added. And so we have an updated list of projects that we're verifying right now, but the next step will be to take that list of projects and run it through our scoring methodology. And so we took a look at the methodology we had developed for the last plan, and we were seeing if there might be some other metrics that we could use here. There were a couple ideas that we came up with, but ultimately in the end, a lot of them start to kind of overlap. And so we really felt like the 20 metrics that we have in place right now under these 6 categories are provide a good data-driven analysis to help do an initial scoring of the projects. And so the numbers that you see in the yellow circles there, those are weights that we applied to each of the categories. And that was based upon a discussion with the board the last time this plan was done. And so we'll come back to that in a little bit, but I did want to just kind of walk through each one of these to give a little bit of an overview of how we're evaluating the projects. And if you have any questions or if you have thoughts about potentially other metrics that we could use, we'd like to hear about that from you. As we'll ultimately, as we go through, this is how we'll be evaluating those potential projects. And so most of them are data driven, meaning we'll do an overlay of the projects that I just showed you a couple slides ago, and we'll put that on top of the data. And we've come up with a methodology to potentially, if we're looking at the number of crashes, we'll do a buffer around that project, and we have a way to normalize it. So, an intersection project compared to a mile-long corridor project, for example, is being evaluated on a apples-to-apples basis. But so with the safety, we're looking at the total number of vehicle crashes. We're looking at bike and pedestrian crashes, and also fatal and serious injuries. And so as an example on the right there, you see the fatal and serious injuries that have happened over the last 5 years in the metropolitan planning region. And so again, we'll overlay that. We'll see how these score, and ultimately, because we break this down in each category, we can look at the projects to see how is it doing in safety versus perhaps operational efficiency, which is our second category. So in looking at the this category, a number of the or three of the five metrics, 4, 5, and 8, actually rely upon the regional travel demand model, and so we'll have existing level of service, which is our volume to capacity ratios, which will show us where we potentially have capacity issues. So we'll have the existing, but the model will also show us what future level of service concerns we might have in 2050. And then we can take a look at the difference in those projected volumes. The other metrics there, 6 and 7, really are more of a qualitative analysis to see if the project has any technology signal improvements, or if it creates like a parallel facility or makes an improvement on a parallel facility that or supports system redundancy. If, for example, if there were a road closure or something for an extended time, could that improvement help support that? Also look at accessibility. This is information, again, most of this coming from the most of this coming from the model, and actually that should be 2050 there instead of 2045. But what we're showing on the graphic on the right is actually the sub areas that we had from the last 2045 plan, but this black line is the new growth area. And so we'll be updating the numbers and doing the scoring process around that for the new or the updated MTPO boundary. I will mention on this in the previous slide, we are waiting on the regional travel demand model, which is being updated. So we're hoping to have these metrics by the end of the month here, that we'll be able to score projects in early June.
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
can you back up 2 slides, I think?
All the way
Yeah.
to
This one shows the new
sorry.
area, shows the new planning area. Because with the 2020 census, if you'll remember, our urban area shrunk, and we went ahead and pulled our planning area in as well. So this map reflects the new area. And if you'll go to the next slide.
That's correct. Yeah,
That's the old one because it's the 2045, because we don't have the model stuff yet. So we've discussed before, we're going to a regional travel demand model, TDOT and Coordino Group, or, Johnson City, Bristol, and Kingsport have been meeting with it. Bristol's ahead of us in their plan, so they're actually doing their own little mini model update, but we're actually going to try to be the guinea pigs for the TDOT, the regional travel demand model. And we had a meeting Monday, and the consultant is supposed to have the 2023 base year to TDOT by the end of this week. So TDOT will review it, and then hopefully it'll be okay, and AECOM can start doing their thing with our stuff. And that's what he's waiting on to update this, is the model, so they can get those level of service and stuff. And then this map is so that would be 2023 to 2050, correct? Because 2023 is the base we're using. Yeah, but that shows the color is the old area and our TAZs, and as he mentioned, the bold outline is our new planning area. And the TAZs lying outside the planning area is probably not that big of a deal for right now. So we'll work on that whenever we get the model and see what it shows.
Yeah. So when we have the final population and employment numbers, we'll be looking at that within this black line here. So okay. So one of the other categories we're looking at, active transportation. So that top graphic, and again, these 2 maps came from the active transportation plan that was done a couple of years ago, right around the time the LRTP was 2045 LRTP was being done. And so there is a graphic in there, or a GIS layer that we can look at non-motorized demand. And so we're able to overlay our potential projects on there and see give them a score, a total, as you see here, the 15 points, as you probably saw in previous slides, but that allocates out to 5 points, potentially a maximum of 5 points that could be earned for each of these various metrics. On metric number 13 there, this is really looking at communities with greater needs, some potentially lower income minorities, zero car households, that type of analysis. And then number 4 looks at pedestrian bicycle levels of traffic stress. And so again, that's a layers that we have from a couple years ago that we can look at and overlay. Environmental was another category. So we have a couple different things we're looking at. This is a graphic again from the last plan. So it will be a map that we update in a couple months here after we do, or this is an environmental mitigation map, but we'll update this to the new MPO boundary. But we're looking at some of the challenging areas, as we call it, so floodplains, historical areas, steep slopes, parks, and so looking at how those projects or if they touch any of those and what the impact might be. And then does a project improve capacity without widening or adding a new facility? So it could be more isolated traffic operational improvements. So it could be like turn lane projects, that type of thing that we're looking at, or technology improvements as well. The last category we had is economic, which again gets to, and all of these really go back and align with those 3 goals that I showed earlier. But one of these, and again, these economic can be a little challenging in terms of scoring, but one, we're kind of looking at the percent of trucks using that as a factor to see if it's supporting industry and those type of things. We do have the economic development nodes that were identified, and so if a project is within a half mile of that, it gets a certain point total. There is a job access score, so that is actually a database from the Center for Neighborhood Technology that looks at or creates a score, and so we're able to overlay that. And then also one of the 10 planning factors that we're looking at or need to consider in our process is looking at tourism. And so number 20 is a qualitative measure to see if the project supports tourism. So with that, I just will wrap up this section again, putting up the summary of the methodology. And again, so each of these 6 categories we go through, and for each project we score that project. I will note that the score does not necessarily, top score does not necessarily mean that it becomes our top project. There are other things that we look at in terms of the cost of the project, and that factors into our fiscal constraint analysis. But what I do like to say is that this at least gives us a way to it's a tool that we can use to help inform the project selection. And so in other places that we've done similar type of things, it may be like the project that scores 8 or 9 on the list ultimately might become the highest priority in the LRTP because it's because of the cost or those type of things. And so you might see like a project with the 2681 interchange, for example, being high on these needs. But often the cost, when we start to look at the fiscal constraint component of it, will result in that ending up being like an illustrative project in the end. So the last question I just had for the group today, and happy to address any questions about the process or metrics if you have any, but um, I guess two questions really for the group. Are there any metrics or any other thoughts that you would like to see incorporated into the methodology? And then the second question has to do with those yellow circles. Uh, this is really when we go through the process and we score, we put a certain amount of weight on each one of these. So safety is 25 points, and you can see how that gets allocated to the metrics. This is what we came up with for the 2045 LRTP. This is what the board had discussed and where we landed. So I just wanted to put this up again and see if there's any thoughts about potentially shifting weights around between any of these categories. Or are you happy with this allocation and would want to use that in the 2050 analysis as well? So pause there and just see if there's any thoughts on those two questions.
And we don't officially vote on this. It's just for discussion and about, I guess, half the board or a little more was involved in the last in approving these last time or reviewing these last time and agreeing on them. So when did you come to Lenoisco? Okay, so we adopted this in 22, so you may have just been starting. Yeah. So Thomas is new on this for sure. And Amber with Sullivan County has left the county. She's here in the audience today, which is kind of strange. But she has left the county, and Luke, who is her replacement, is not with us at the meeting today. So, but when did he start? So about the same time as Thomas, so he'd be new in. Okay. Yeah, she said he has county commission tonight with the big agenda, so that's why he's not here today. Plus, I guess had a big meeting in Bristol this morning. I guess was he at that one? Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, we don't officially adopt these, but just review them. And if you got any questions, and I guess, I mean, we could send this out if they wanted to dig a little deeper and look at them and just
Yep.
Take a week or two and let us know if you have any questions or whatever, instead of just expecting you to soak it all in right now.
Yeah, that would be nice, Leslie, if we could get this electronically. I like the allocations as presented, and Jim, really appreciate the overview and updates this afternoon.
You're welcome. All right, I'll stop sharing here. Leslie, I will send you a PDF of the slide deck here.
Okay.
All right.
And I'll get that out
Thanks,
to you all.
everyone.
Good.
Great, thank you. All right, with that, we are ready for our federal, state, and partner updates.
Kara with Federal Highway is online. If Michael can let her talk or promote her.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I don't have any federal updates. I did want to mention about your project prioritization scores or your plan to score your projects. I didn't see anything about housing. A new initiative with IJA was to link transportation planning, housing, land use, and economic development. So I would encourage you to include something about economic development and housing in your project scoring. Other than that, we have our SS4A grant applications are due towards the end of May. I don't know if you all plan to apply, but I'm happy to answer any questions. All you need to do is just email me or call me.
Thank you. We'll do transit next. Candace, if you want to make your way up. Net Trans could not be here. They are preparing for an audit with TDOT on Monday, so they're spending the time in the office. June 1st, they'll be having a new driver class with 6 new drivers. They just received a grant contract for Improve and will be starting the process for adding new maintenance software to the Net Trans department. June 20th, they have their safety kickoff for drivers, and TDOT will be at their office Monday through Thursday next week to complete their triannual review. So that's Net Trans, and now we've got Candace with CATS.
Hi. I have 5 quick points. The first one is that Chris Campbell and I visited local legislators in Nashville last month for Day on the Hill to talk all things transit. Secondly, we are currently this week running our Dollar Ride Half Price ticket book promotion. So it's a really popular promotion that we run 3 times a year. 24 tickets, which is normally $24, this week is running for 12. So we're selling a lot of those tickets. Cats will be participating in the Public Works Day next Friday on May the 22nd. So we will have a vehicle there and a booth. And we are anticipating receiving 3 new buses in the next few months. And then I'm currently working on a grant for a 4th. So that's good news. And I guess I'm ending on a lower note, but we are understaffed right now. We have just hired a new driver and he started last week. But we are still 2 drivers short at this point. So we are conducting interviews for that right now. But all that means to be said is that we have something that pops up on our website that states, please be patient with, longer wait times as we are trying to accommodate a lot of trips. You guys know we've launched Cats Connect, which has become almost 30% of our trips right now. So we're trying to get staff back up and be efficient. So any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chase, do you have anything with the RPO?
Sure. So for those who are attending our RPO or planning to yesterday, I really want to thank you all for your flexibility that we had to reschedule that on behalf of good news. And yesterday we had a bridge reopening of the Bailey Bridge, SR 353, and then a new signage that went down in Jackson Bridge down in Washington County. So our executive board chairman, Joe Grandy, and Commissioner Will Reed was in the region yesterday to celebrate that very important reopening post Helene. So with that being said, we do have an RPO meeting still scheduled for this spring. It's going to be on June 23rd. I believe that's a Tuesday, 10 a.m. Really would love for everybody's attendance, especially our voting members that are in the audience today. We will be voting on our work program. And I would like to just highlight one of the things that's happening in between now and then, still very important, that federal update that was mentioned earlier, the Safe Streets for All grant round is closing on May 26th. And we had a successful completion of that planning grant stage in Mountain City on May 5th, which was really a great progress for the town of Mountain City. They have a safety action plan now that was passed by resolution and an ADA transition plan. And so we are looking to take that into the implementation grant stage. But I would encourage all parties to look at that great grant opportunity. It looks like there's $1 billion that is available for transportation projects.
Does Sullivan County have anything? I know y'all are starting the roadway inventory. Yes. Nothing. We had kind of a kickoff with the transportation planning grant through TDOT, the roadway inventory for Sullivan County roads. So me and Chase were both on that, which I guess all the county roads fall in the Kingsport MPO, Bristol MPO, or the RPO. So, that's right. Let's see. VDOT, got anything?
Yeah, also, we had a public meeting a few weeks ago for 2 of our projects on the list. I know Leslie's able to join us. We appreciate that. It was a public hearing for one of our smart scale projects, really for all of the 23. We combined both those projects into one. We had a lot of great public feedback for that. There are a couple of tweaks we're going to make to that project and go to the change committee, but holistically that project stays the same. So be looking forward to that one. I know won't be long that'll be entering in right away, and then we'll go into construction here in the coming years. So
I will say they had these big vinyl like aerial views of the project laid out in order along the room, and you could just walk across them and see everything. And that's the first time I've seen that done. I took a lot of pictures and videos and came back and was showing Michael. I was like, that is so neat. I mean, because you could really see them. I mean, you still had the boards.
Yeah.
But the big vinyl that you could walk on and had the pointers and, you know, just really see good. That was neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's why we did it. We had a lot of members from the public who can't read the plan set, and I think we can all agree, most of us, you pick it up and it's really busy. Then the boards that we plotted off, given that corridor is 4 miles, 5 miles of a project area, it was very hard to put it on multiple 24x36s. So we had a team at Bristol that started looking at alternative ways for public hearings, and we had a company approach us that can print off on those vinyl boards. We can print them as big as a billboard, honestly. And the cost to print those and to bring those to public meetings, just to give them a better feeling of the corridor, like you can walk it and see exactly what the project is. It's been a huge benefit. We've used it now 3 times, I believe it is. And the public's really enjoyed it, so.
I liked
That
it.
one was exactly the scale for a Matchbox car. You got a Matchbox car on there and.
Yeah, they had the little tractor trailer there at one of the stops. It was funny. Yeah. It was neat.
That's it for me, Leslie.
Okay. Any regular, not project, but any regular updates from TDOT? Anyone? Oh,
We got a couple of things. Let me start with our leadership changes at Region 1. Kristen Qualls is with us today. Kristen was over District 18, kind of like Michael Dick does 17. She is now our project manager director. So the 3-year plan and the 10-year plan stuff, it's all rolling through her. So that's Randy and John Barrett. So glad she's here today. And the 10-year plan did just post on Monday. We're still digesting that and going through that and seeing what's been put in there and what's not. And we'll probably have some more information about that as we have that. There was one put out maybe a month ago, but there is a new, and it is published as final as of May 12th or something like that is what it says on the website. So, and I had it pulled up and looking at it earlier today. After we get to digest that a little bit more, we'll definitely talk some more. So with that, we have also had a new operations director put in place. Of course, Amanda Snowden, who was our operations director, she is now our director for Region 1, and Matt Hart, who ran the floating maintenance crew for Region 1 and facilities management, is now our operations director. And so definitely encourage y'all to get to know these folks. And if you need any issue or have any issues or want to talk to them, need to reach out and you can't get a hold of them, let me know. More than, we're all very accessible, but it's just hard to find people sometimes in this big organization. We're in, more than happy to assist everyone in doing that. I've already set up some meetings with VDOT, trying to connect some dots with our new folks. So lots of fun things going on there. Liz, are you going to talk about the Rural Service Patrol? Okay, Rural Service Patrol, we have so in the big 4 cities, we have the big yellow or lime green help trucks. They're called Road Rangers in Florida. They go out and they assist with motorists. They help clear crashes. They help with traffic, emergency traffic, as well as assisting motorists with anything from a flat tire, a gallon of gas, something like that, to keep the shoulders free and these additional crashes and the secondary crashes in a queue. Through funding from this year, that is now being put out across the state on every mile of interstate that we have. We have upwards, it's 24, 25 trucks in Region 1, plus twice as many of them folks that are going to be working those. 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I believe is the time that we're running on those. As incidents start occurring and people start seeing these, and this is extremely important for our police and fire response. As we see that, all communications will go through the TMC, a phone call to them so they can do dispatch and work all that through. We will have an event at the I-26 Welcome Center here in Kingsport on May 28th, 2:30. please come out to that. We've already rolled this out in Region 2. Looking forward to doing this. And so Memorial Day weekend, it will be in place and up and running. Very, very happy about that. Believe the commissioner is planning on coming in. We'll have some dignitaries in for that as well. So look forward to that. Long range transportation plan. The state is also working on our long range plan right now. So watch for more information coming out on that soon. We'll be doing a lot of public outreach as well and be working with y'all. I'll probably you all hear more about that at these meetings. Other folks with us today, just so you are aware, Anne Marie Anway, who is over the MPO statewide program management, and Matt Meservy down there at the end. He's our director. Please hit them with all your questions before you leave. And lots of good questions, but seriously, that's why they're here. Just like with our regional folks, you know, if you have questions, you have concerns, our people are here. Make sure we ask those questions, get with them, and then if you think of something later, you can follow up with me and I'll make sure that they get it as well. So as far as operational guidelines, were there any other updates, Anne Marie, or and before we get into the projects?
You want me to? Okay. Hey, Jim. Good to hear your voice again. So part of what we're doing statewide for long range plan updates is to basically provide you with that information. I don't think it's been something that we've done very well for the past updates regarding having everybody sort of guess where our revenue or what our, the state, federal revenues reside and what the forecast are for those. So I've kind of made it my own personal project to try to develop a kind of a section that you can add into your long range transportation plans. And this is for every MPO and moving forward. So you'll be able to utilize that when you go to develop your document. And again, you won't have to guess for a lot of those things. Moving forward, it's going to be, I think, consistent across the board. It will also provide a little bit of flexibility. What we really want you all to do is to have your regional models and other input help establish the basis for 10-year plan incorporations, future 10-year plan incorporations. So at some point this will all come together seamlessly, but at the moment we're all working on this together to try to put all these little pieces into place. I think is that helpful? I guess I don't. The other thing, and this might go a little bit, I don't know if I'm going to go into the depth, but we just got back from a 2.5-day TDOT ACEC partnership conference in Chattanooga. One of the topics that was discussed was the update to the new surface transportation bill. If anybody's been tracking it, there have been numerous reports that they are now going into committee and they're starting to mark up the new bill, and then it gets kicked down the curb. We heard again that I think sometime next week they're going to actually bring it into committee and potentially start looking at the update for the bill that expires September 30th of this year. One of the things that they have mentioned in these rumors is how they're going to be sort of scaling back a lot of the items that were part of the IIJA. We don't know exactly what that means and whether or not that's true, but it looks like it's going to be more of a simplified plan. I don't know, Blake, if you've heard anything like that or not, but it's again a rumor, but it's something that I don't know, this might be the first time that I can remember that if it does happen and by October 1, a new surface authorization is in place. The first one that I could remember, I think, what was it, FAST Act or MAP 21 had 10 continuing resolutions, something like that. But so we'll see. Anyway, that's the update I can provide to you today. Talk Steve.
Kristen, do you have anything from the region? We might peg you here for on some of these project updates, but Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Emery.
So Leslie had mentioned that she's still working on the 23-26 STIP. And that is because we're finalizing our comments and updating our memorandum of understanding with the federals, with the FHWA. The STIP mentions that originally we weren't going to do the MOA at the same time, but the STIP mentions it. So we decided to update both of them. They should be going back to the feds any day now. There's just a few things we're waiting on, some final comments to address, and then they will review it, and they may have additional comments we'll have to address. We're hoping in the next month or two to have that finalized. So then it will move to the 26-29 for the Tennessee side, and you're confused. So that's where we are on that. Projects have still been moving because 26 is an overlap year. So it hasn't stopped that. But that's where we are on the STIP. And then just so you guys are aware, SPP is supposed to be kicking off this summer. So if you have things, be aware of that. That more information will be coming out about when that period opens and the closing dates on that. And then finally, the long range transportation plan, as we've mentioned several times, is still going on. They are going to start doing they're calling them pop-up events. Mostly in the rural areas, where you might see a TDOT tent, and there'll be some people talking about long range transportation plan. They're trying to get input of different areas. The MPOs are great about getting that out to their areas. So they want to kind of hit some of the rural areas. You might see them at a festival here and there, and please stop by and do some of their surveys so that they can get input from across the state as they do this, the long range transportation plan for the entire state. So that's all I got.
All right, with the projects, I'll go down my list here and answer Mike's questions. So I've got one that's not technical on your list, but it's close. It used to be in our region, the AFG road bridge over the railroad. That's been an ongoing project we've been working on, dealing with utilities and a few things. Right now, that one's subject for letting in December. So that one is moving along. And it actually could move forward, actually progress just a little bit faster. Same thing with Fort Robinson Bridge, working on that one a day or two. That one, that could, right now it's slotted for December as well, but that could go to the October letting. Because we've got plan in hand and we're moving quickly with that project. Now the Goshen Valley one that's on here, since we're working our way this way in my head here, Goshen Valley, that is a off-system bridge. That's not our bridge, but we will be, we as in Randy Bussler and his group will be working on that project. Do we have a timeline? Yeah. That's a big bridge. Right. That's where, but we are working on that because that's one thing that, right now it's posted 10 ton. And Leslie has some really cool pictures of it from the original bridge that was built. So she's done a little archive work if we want to throw that in there. You all have seen the construction on I-26 or the lane closure out there. That is a rock mitigation project that we're working on right now. That is underway. That should be done in the end of June next year, 2026. This year. Sorry. I'm looking at all sorts of numbers here. But they have been working on that. To my knowledge, that is still on target, on time. What else we've got up there? Memorial Boulevard. So that one has Memorial Boulevard AB for phase 1 and then 2. Nothing on phase 2, which is on out. Nothing on B right now. Phase 1A is under construction. If y'all have seen lots of clearing and grubbing, Mike and I were talking about some of the operations on that earlier. They've had some hiccups with our contractor. And Mike's been working with them on that, and probably will get a follow-up phone call as well, Mr. Thompson, as related to what TDOT actions have been with that. But they have been working on that, but there have been some I guess some heartache and causing some undue issues with the utilities here locally in the city, which we definitely need to avoid. You want to say anything else about it? Okay, we're definitely we're trying. And 17 leadership has been or is aware of that, and I would definitely expect a phone call probably tomorrow about that. Do you need anything on the SIA? You all probably have better SIA update than I do.
Turn-in date's June the 2nd.
Yeah.
Turn-in date's June the 2nd for our August 14th letting by TDOT. Last action that the city has to take to get everything straight will be next Tuesday. So we've got everything buttoned up.
That's what I've got too. Sounds good. And do y'all have any other questions? The ITS 81 expansion. Kristen, I haven't heard anything on ITS expansion since the 10-year plans come out. I don't know where we're at with that. And I've been trying to find out, but because it's not just 81, it's I-75 down in Knoxville. It's a lot of different areas that we've been trying to do ITS expansion. But with the 10-year plan and how things have rolled out, I have not seen any updates on that. So we're still.
Are ITS even in the 10-year plan, or is it like some of the other separate
It's
things?
not in the 10-year plan called out specifically.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But like ITS, well, the ITS we're talking about is the cameras in the message boards, because the help trucks technically are part of an ITS program as well. It's just not the eyeballs part of it, it's the on the ground part. So, but what we're focused on is the expansion up into Virginia, past exit 1, and then the first stretch between the airport exit.
Exit 57, the 26 exit to exit 3 in Virginia.
Yeah, because we have it at exit 59 here. So it's the next one up for that remaining part. And you all have cameras about halfway up through there as well.
That was a common theme on the MTPO's website. A need message.
Yes, absolutely. And we're hearing the same thing from Johnson City. Johnson City MPO. Yep. I was getting ready to get into that one. I just saw that. And the first section of it is scheduled. It's on the 10-year or the 3-year plan here for State Route 36. Lakeside to Somerville, 2 miles. That's going to construction for 26.
What happened with the sidewalks with that?
Sidewalk got canceled.
I knew that's where it was heading, but.
That was a multimodal grant. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you just have to.
I think I've sent the letter.
He
could be sitting waiting for me to send it, but if y'all hear from Randy that he hadn't got a letter, let me know.
Okay.
It's been approved on my side to be sent. I had to draft it and wait for approval to send it, and I've gotten that.
So what's the process on that? Just it's unbuildable or whatever you were writing in that we send you all as the city sends that in, and then
it's a letter to Steve Allen,
and then they stop or pull it back and put that back in to be reallocated somewhere else.
That's my understanding. Yes.
Are there any other questions as far as updates, project update from the board? Just kidding. Yes, sir.
If I may, I'm curious about State Route 347. It's still under the projects, but I know it's not in the team. Is there any status on it as far as planning, plans, environmental? I think environmental as well.
So 347 is Rock Springs Road. That project, we do have a box culvert that we're looking at a different section replacement on that one. That's the only reference that I have in our 3-year plan right now. As far as the full-blown widening of that or realignment of that, not in a 10-year plan. Improve Act project.
It's not.
It's not Not an Improve Act project. That was the one that we had partnered with
Yeah.
locally.
We had the,
Right now.
yeah.
Correct.
So I think they're all good projects, and I think that's what we recognize across the state. We're running into a lot of these projects that the funding right now is so limited. I think we all see that. It's hard to get all of them. A lot of those not in the team. They really are not being worked at any level unless they had already been authorized for right of way. There's a couple of those that feel that they were already buying right of way and they have to finish purchasing the right of way.
I don't think that was the case on this one.
The reason I asked, that's not. To the environmental stage. And at some point, I guess the work stops, but do you complete the environmental phase and then stop? Or I'm just curious where it might be.
They had done design on that
Yeah,
because they had put a 5-lane through there and we're like, we don't need 5 lanes. So they went back and reduced it. And that's where it was at that point.
We were at the public hearing. We was in design public hearings where we got to before it got scheduled.
And we actually had the funds that the MPO had put towards it. They were de-obligated and came back to us, anything that hadn't been spent. Some of it had already been spent,
Yeah.
but what was not spent, we got back.
Chris, and that's the part I want to make sure you heard is before SPP existed, we already had and put money in it, and money has been spent, local money has been spent on that project. So, just. Well, we will. We will.
That's the basis.
Yeah, no, and what we are seeing, projects are coming back in. There are a couple that we did get in region 1 that are added to like year 11, 12. But when they start, they're going to almost be in the.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Well, with State Route 36, I mean, we leave these on here purposely because we're not forgetting about them. The State Route 36 is a huge project that needs to be done, and NEPA was obligated in 2020, and I don't think anything was ever done. So that's like, well, what happened between 2020 and 2025 when it was not in the 10-year plan,
Yeah, so for on 36 from the interstate down to 75, that portion, we had some survey work. So we kind of had where that road was going potentially, but that's my understanding from our survey group. That's where we got.
And we have talked about putting them, I know you talked about when we met in Nashville last week about a hopper of projects, which would basically be like the Improve Act projects that are not in the 10-year plan. So that's another reason we're just going ahead and leaving the Improve Act projects, keeping them on the table because we're not going to forget about them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, by law, those have to be, anything beyond the 10-year plan, if it's an Improve Act, should somehow be important. On top of efficiency identified that may not be a project yet, that can help us. It does reside on a state act. That it's federal aid. That's the coordination that you all.
It's always good mentioning too, and make sure that you always do their policies. What are the policies? If they drop it, $1 billion today, if something fell from the sky, what is your next priority for the MTPO that you would like to see built? Order completers are usually always high in the priority ranking. They do that data prioritization every year that they're looking at those. So several things are order completers. So those would be something that.
Michael, we're going to do local projects.
Be happy to. The Greenbelt project in Hawkins County side is in right-of-way phase. We're waiting on the appraisals to come back on that one.
I will mention that is one of the comments that's on the long range plan map was wanting it extended west from Rotherwood where it ends now. So
There you
it'll be
go.
looking good.
That's right. They'll think they did something. The Brickyard Bike and Ped Bridge, it's got historic zoning approval, and the consultants continue to work on comments from TDOT and the railroad. Looking at my consultant, make sure. Island Road, we're we're at the point of getting notice to proceed with construction, trying to get that money obligated for construction. And then the resurfacing groupings, Meadowview Parkway got pulled out separate from Orbank Road. It's still a couple years out. Lynchfield and Eastman would be starting this fall. Orbank Road probably spring.
Chase.
All right, thanks for all the updates, everybody. And with that being said, that should wrap up today's meeting. So if y'all are all right with it, I'll just go ahead and make that motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Thanks.